Here's something that most guys completely screw up. They either play it way too safe, afraid to say anything bold, worried about offending people or making it weird, and what happens? They're fucking boring. Or on the other hand, they go in full wrecking ball, just like this relentless teasing, saying all this wild shit, pushing boundaries with zero awareness until the other person either checks out, gets annoyed with them, or simply just writes them off as a clown. Neither of these guys wins. But there's a third type of guy, and this guy can get away with saying literally anything. He can drop outrageous comments, he can push the limits, and people actually love it. They laugh, they stay engaged. They even feel closer to him. So what's the secret here? It's not just about confidence, it's about attunement. And that's where something called statements of empathy come in. And this is the difference between a guy who just says wild shit and eventually gets tuned out versus the guy who knows exactly when to pivot, when to smooth the edges, when to pull people back in. And when you master this, you don't have to hold back anymore. You don't have to censor yourself. You just say whatever you want, and people don't tolerate it. They actually love it. So in this video, shot on location in sunny San Diego, California, the whale's vagina, I'm gonna show you how to do this. So here's the game changer that most guys don't figure out. You don't have to filter yourself. You don't have to hold back. You don't have to play it safe. You can say all this outrageous shit. You can tease relentlessly. You can push the limits, and people will still love you if, and this is key, if you show them you're socially attuned. And that's where something that we call statements of empathy come in. So what is that? Well, simply put, a statement of empathy is just a quick acknowledgement of how your words landed, without apologizing for it, without backpedaling, and most importantly, without losing momentum in the conversation. It's kind of this social lubricant, if you will, that makes sure that nobody actually gets offended or actually breaks off and disengages. And what a statement of empathy does, it actually does three things at once. First, it shows that you get it. You're not just standing there saying all this wacky shit blithely thinking that you're doing fucking awesome. You're actually aware of how people are reacting so you don't come across as this social imbecile. Number two, it lets you keep pushing those limits without actually triggering defensiveness. So you stay in control of the conversation, but they don't feel like they're just getting steamrolled. And finally, it sets the stage for a deeper connection. Because once people feel understood, they kind of let their guard down. And that's when the real chemistry actually happens. If you don't have this, you're just another try-hard running his mouth, hoping people are going to get that you're joking. Or worse, you're the guy just kind of like walking on eggshells, tiptoeing on this line of what you think people will like, afraid to say anything even remotely risky. But when you nail this balance, that's when you can actually be wild, you can be bold, you can be unpredictable, and instead of getting pushback, people are going to actually be locked in. This is how the real social gangsters operate, like real motherfuckers operate. So hopefully you're starting to get this, right? You're starting to see how this works. The guys who could pull this off, they own every room they walk into. The guys who don't, they just sit on the sidelines in chode corner, overthinking, second guessing, watching other dudes dominate shit while they just kind of fade into the background. So right now, watching this, you're at a fork in the road. You can close this video, you can keep figuring that out on your own and say exactly where you are, hesitating, overthinking, watching other people live the life that you want. Maybe you go see the new Marvel. Go see the new Marvel. I heard the new Marvel's good. The Captain Falcon and the Ant-Man or whatever the fuck. You could do that, or you can make a move. You can stop bullshitting, stop fucking around. You can click the link in the description and get this handled for real. This isn't just some advice to think about and ponder over. This is literally the skill set that changes everything. Your confidence, your presence, your ability to speak, to lead, to command, to get attention without even fucking trying. This is the difference between being ignored and being the guy that people actually remember, people actually call back. And look, this just isn't about dating. This is about power. It's about the ability to walk into any room, own the moment, and create opportunities out of nothing. You don't think that doesn't translate into money, into connections, into doors opening for you that you didn't even know existed? When you can effortlessly attract, hold people's attention, and lead, the ROI on that is absolutely fucking insane. And once you have this, you'll have it forever. Nobody can take it from you. So click the link, get in. This is the skill set that keeps paying off for the rest of your life. Now, Maybe you're thinking, okay, look, I get it. But why do statements of empathy actually work? What are they doing? Well, it's quite simple. They're doing three things at the same time. First, they defuse tension. You just said some wild shit. Maybe you landed, maybe you didn't. A quick acknowledgement kind of softens the impact without killing the energy. So that's the key there. Number two, they actually signal that you have social intelligence. You're not just blurting shit out like some oblivious idiot. You're watching for reactions, you're making adjustments, you're staying in control. That's attractive. And third, believe it or not, they actually deepen connection. When somebody feels like you're attuned to their subjective emotional experience, you see their reaction and you could adjust without backpedaling, that creates trust. And trust just makes everything kind of flow smoother. So now let's get a little tactical here. How exactly do you use statements of empathy in real time? Well, there's four main ways that you can deploy this. Number one, acknowledge and playfully exaggerate. So again, you drop the bold comment, you see a reaction there, maybe they kind of like freeze up, they kind of give that little, what the fuck? That's your cue right there when you see that. Instead of ignoring it and just continuing, you lean into it and you exaggerate it. You might say something like, oh, wow, so that was the moment. That was the moment you decided I'm the worst person you've ever met. That was fast. I think it's a record, actually. Anyway, blah, 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 right? Boom, it instantly resets the energy. They laugh, they engage, the moment actually moves forward. Number two, you drop a little bit of light self-deprecation to reset things. When you say that over-the-top thing, a quick little jab taken at yourself can keep it from coming across too serious. For example, I might say it and then I'd be like, believe it or not, I do hear the words coming out of my mouth. Like, what did you just say, Jeff? That was good. Note smooth, bro. Note to self. Definitely use that one again. Anyway, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Right? So this makes you more likable. It makes you more human. And it lets them relax without you losing frame. Now, speaking of frame, the third thing that you're going to do here is you're going to employ humor to actually reframe the situation. So, if you drop something and the reaction's a little uncertain on their part, don't retreat. Double down. Go absurd. Make it even more ridiculous. And that shifts their perception. You're like, you say the whack thing or whatever, the crazy thing. I'll be like, yo, sorry. Look, I have low blood sugar. It's called hypoglycemia. It's a very serious condition. I saw it on Dr. House MD. Please bear with me as I get my glucose levels back in line. Anyway, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So now, instead of overthinking what you just said, they're laughing and moving on. And that's the fourth part. That's the fourth key here, is you pivot and you keep it moving. You acknowledge it, you soften the blow, and then you redirect. This is absolutely crucial. Without this, they won't work. The statements of empathy won't work at all. The second you start going logical, over-explaining why what you said was not, in fact, inappropriate, herpa-da-derpa-da-dee, that's when you lose. Because now you're in an argument, and even if you win, you lose. Because once it goes logical, it pushes out kind of the pizzazz that causes that interest, that causes the attraction. So, for example, I'll drop the thing, and then I drop the statement of empathy, like, yo, sorry, look, I don't get out of the house very much. I've kind of forgotten how to comport myself in public. So please bear with me as I attempt to reintegrate into society despite my crippling agoraphobia. Anyway, so yeah, you were telling me about your trip. What happened next? Again, redirect, move on. This is very subtle, but it's extremely effective because you're showing awareness without making a big deal of it, and you maintain control of the conversation. This is what makes the difference between some dude who just like blurts shit out and gets looks like a fucking tool, and a guy who can say anything and actually get away with it. So let's add in the final piece here that ties this all together, and that's the power of contrast. This is what takes your social game from just good to absolutely undeniable. It's not just about what you say. It's about the contrast between your boldness and your self-awareness that keeps people locked in and keeps them entertained. It keeps them hooked on you. So think about it. If you're just that brash, ballsy guy who's saying all this weird shit all the time, it starts to feel a little performative, right? Like, look at me, I'm so crazy. On the flip side, if you're only this like soft, sweet, little agreeable person, you fade into the background, right? There's no edge, there's no presence. It's just very unforgettable. But when you mix those two together, when you create that push-pull, it's like one moment you're saying something insane. The next, you flash that little cocky smirk and you acknowledge it with a statement of empathy. Suddenly, people don't know what's coming next. And that unpredictability is what's magnetic. This is what makes people pay attention to you, right? This is what makes your interactions dynamic and engaging. This is why you can say all this wild shit and people still want to be around you. This contrast between boldness and attunement, it makes you impossible to ignore. It keeps people guessing. It builds trust without losing power. It creates chemistry and these emotional spikes that people just love. And when you master this, conversations just don't go well. It's going okay. No, they fucking explode. They pop. They blow up. They pull people in. They leave an impact. At this level, you don't have to censor yourself. You can be as bold, outrageous, say whatever the fuck you want, as long as you show that you're socially attuned. Statements of empathy are that bridge. They're what keep you from becoming abrasive while making sure that you're never boring. They let you push the limits without triggering backlash. They keep the interactions fun. They make people feel understood, entertained, kind of intrigued, all at the same time. This is how you can make any joke land. This is how you never run out of things to say. This is how you keep people locked in, because quite frankly, they never know what the fuck's going to come out of your mouth next. They're like, damn, what's he going to say next? This is how you own the room. This is how you create magnetism without effort. This is next level game. Now, you can take this knowledge, you can try to implement it alone, or you can get trained by me personally and skip all the trial and error, hunting and pecking in the dark bullshit. Click the link in the description. If you don't, you're going to keep making these same mistakes, getting the same results, and watching the guys who get it leave you in the fucking dust. But if you do click that link, you're finally going to get the real world skill set that lets you dominate social interactions anywhere, anytime. This is your shot. Take it. It's been Jeffy from the Whale's Vagina, and I'll see you next time.
Jeffy.